Hey, I'm Kevin, and this is HFX by Bike, a channel all about getting around Halifax by bike. In today's video, I'll be covering the North End Bikeway, which runs between Nora Bernard Avenue just off of downtown and Leeds Street deep in the north end of the Halifax Peninsula. This is actually going to be a reshoot of the very first piece of bike infrastructure I covered on the channel. There have been some upgrades since then, and I'm excited to show them off. As always, I'll be playing a game of +1 - 2 along the way. Every time I run into something that makes my trip safer or more convenient, I'll add a point, and every time I run into something that makes it less safe or less convenient, I'll take 2 away. You can keep track of how I think the ride is going by looking at the heads-up display in the bottom right-hand corner. I'm starting out at Nora Bernard and just turning onto the bikeway. This is Maynard Street. It's a one-way right-of-way for both bikes and cars. Crichton Street, 1 block west, acts as its counterpart, and you'll be seeing that later on in the video when I cover the opposite direction. I'm filming this between snowstorms so that the bikeway is at least somewhat visible. One of the updates in recent years has been that speed bumps have been added along I think the entire length of the bikeway. I'm crossing North Street, and by dumb luck, a large group of pedestrians are crossing already. Otherwise, there's a good chance I'd be stuck here for a while. More on that later. The two one-way sections of the bikeway combine at Isleville. There's a newly installed one-way sign-based mode filter at the intersection with Almond Street. There's another mode filter at the intersection with K Street. This one is an actual physical barrier. The North End Bikeway is 1 block off of the commercial activity on Agricola, but the area around Hyderstone has several businesses directly accessible from the bikeway itself. The entire bikeway is flat, and large swaths of it have been recently paved. It's a bit intermittent, but most of the intersections have widened shoulders to slow down turns by cars. This intersection has a mini roundabout that slows down cars but doesn't affect me at all. The bikeway cuts out at Leeds Street and doesn't connect to anything else on this end. I'm just getting myself turned around to cover the inbound direction. A major drawback of the bikeway is that it loses priority at each of the major roads it intersects with. How long you wait depends on which road it is and what time of day it is. This crossing at Duffus usually isn't a problem, so this time I'll give it a pass. They're not going to show up on the video, but Duffus has some new bike lanes to the east that connect to the Devonshire protected bike lanes. The driver with a trailer is struggling with a snowbank, and rather than complicate things, I'm just going to hang back. Making decisions that occasionally delay you a little bit is something that any responsible road user should be prepared to do. The bikeway connects directly to the new Almond Street protected bike lanes. The crossing at Almond itself is hit or miss in terms of getting pinned by traffic. In this case, there's a bit of a wait. The bikeway splits back into two one-way streets again, so this time I'm showing off the inbound direction along Northwood Terrace. The paving along this section is extremely rough. This intersection has cool street art, but also a stop sign. This section of the bikeway loses priority at almost every intersecting street, even when it's just a local street. The intersection at North Street, when there aren't any pedestrians to save you, is one where you're likely going to face a lengthy wait. A lot of the streets intersecting with the bikeway have turn movement restrictions, which make it less attractive for drivers to drive along the bikeway. I'm back on Nora Bernard, and this end of the bikeway doesn't connect to anything either. The entire bikeway is about 3 kilometers end to end, so here are the bonus points. The North End Bikeway covers a space near the northernmost extent of the Halifax Peninsula towards the edge of downtown. It can be thought of as a stand-in for bike lanes on Agricola, which were never actually installed. It's fine overall, but it runs into the usual problems of bikeways in Halifax: a loss of priority and limited connectivity. The bikeway loses priority at every major street it intersects with, as well as many local streets south of Almond. This means that how long it takes someone on bike to cover the entire bikeway is going to depend on traffic at the intersection streets. For instance, you might find yourself waiting at North Street for several minutes before there's a gap in traffic. In exchange for these delays, you do get a pretty low traffic north-south bike corridor that runs immediately next to several businesses and just a block away from the small-scale commercial activity on Agricola. The bikeway connects directly to the Devonshire and Almond Street protected bike lanes and terminates just a block short of connecting directly to the Commons. Like with most bikeways in the city, the North End Bikeway is a story of almost connections. Overall, the North End Bikeway works okay for getting around various points of the North End, and even as a commuter path for getting between the North End and downtown. It just sacrifices cyclist convenience for parking spaces on Agricola. That's it for this one. If you like this kind of thing, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more videos all about getting around Halifax by bike. As always, thanks for watching, and see you next time.